Everyone loves piston doors. Even people that don't play Minecraft love piston doors. It's just a simple fact of life. I don't know what it is about them, but there's just something so satisfying about watching a good piston door open. And in today's video, I'm going to be running through 10 simple in inverted commas, piston doors that you can build in your survival worlds. Piston door number 1. This one genuinely is simple. In fact, it's probably one of the most common piston doors in all of Minecraft, and the reason it is in the video is because to this day I still get asked a lot how to just build this. And I know it may sound silly, okay, to some of you who are redstone professionals out there, but if you don't understand much about redstone, this is actually a little bit of a confusing thing to construct. So you can see we've got some redstone dust down on the bottom, runs into some redstone torch towers, is powering the sticky pistons, and that allows us to travel through this piston door and have it open for us really nice and quickly. In fact, you can even run through this thing without it disturbing you. And you know, I think that might be one of the reasons why they're so popular. Not only are they incredibly simple, but also, I mean, as much as I love a massive piston door, it is quite frustrating if you need to get somewhere quickly and then you need to wait for a piston door to open, taking 5 minutes to open up your 9x9 door. No, regular 2x2 is much better. And with that statement, the entire redstone community grab their pitchforks and come to my house. I'm not necessarily saying that in all aspects this is a better piston door than the 9x9, but as far as speed is concerned, definitely that one's the winner. Anyway, this next one is called the 3x3 Etho door. The reason that it's called an Etho door is because the YouTuber Etho made them popular. Essentially, it's a simpler way of creating a 3x3 piston door because you don't have to worry about the central block. And you may also notice this one is incredibly fast as well. There is very little delay in this system. In fact, it's just as fast as the 2x2 design, and once again, really quite easy. Redstone dust running from the pressure plate going up into a little torch tower, which then connects up all of the pistons. And I gotta say, I'd kind of forgotten about these to a certain extent, and then when I built it I was like, this is actually a really cool door. Why do I not construct these things more often? I mean, I know that 3x3 piston door technology has gotten so good these days that now a regular 3x3 piston door fits inside this footprint, but there's something very elegant about the way that this thing functions. Anyway, next up, we've got an old favourite. This is the 3x3 sand door. Now, the beautiful thing about these is that obviously you don't have any redstone above the ground. It's a pretty decent sized door, and it just has quite a cool opening and closing sequence. There's something incredibly satisfying about watching that happen. And now, thanks to observers, I'm saying that like they're a new addition to the game. Observers have been in the game for ages now, but thanks to the addition of observers, this is once again really quite easy. I'd say I've been fairly smart with the way that I'm doing the pistons here. So what I've got is a little inverter which just inverts the redstone signal from this button going into these pistons right here with a little bit of delay, and then all I've got is a double piston extender underneath that, and then that's it. So you can see this redstone is now back to being powered, but those pistons that are up at the top there have now moved out of the way, so they're not being powered. And then when we hit the button, the double piston extender shoots those pistons upwards. They then get pushed in front of the repeaters, they power, and that means that we effectively get a triple piston extender without really too much effort. Obviously, it's not a true triple piston extender as it can only retract sand downwards, but still, it's pretty good. Back in the early days of my YouTube channel, this was one of my personal favourite piston doors. I absolutely loved the flush and seamless door. So to explain a little bit of terminology here, a flush piston door means that it's flush with the wall. It's flat with the wall. There's no indent or anything like that going on. And seamless means that you've hidden away all of the redstone components. There's no exposed pistons. There's nothing like that. And this, it's such a satisfying thing to watch work. So as you can see, we get the pistons getting pushed up into the wall. If all of this was iron blocks, you would not be able to see any redstone componentry, but then suddenly, out of nowhere, this door can open and close. And I just love watching the concealment of the piston. It feels so James Bondy. I'm a big fan of this door, and once again, thanks to observers, I actually managed to make it a little bit more compact than my original design, which, considering that design came out in 2013, probably isn't really that impressive. Now, this is a bit of an interesting design for a piston door. It's a little bit unconventional, and to be honest with you, it was actually quite difficult to do. I spent a lot of time on this thing, making sure it was as compact and as fast as I could possibly make it, but I have to say I'm fairly proud of the end result. It's incredibly fast. It has a very satisfying opening and closing sequence that, once again, I spent a lot of time on trying to make sure that it was all in sync. and it's cool. Like, it's a really, really cool piston door. To do a quick deep dive into some of the geekiness of redstone going on here, we've got a lot of interesting observer action going on. I've actually got these observers down at the bottom here, helping to extend the pulse of this bottom sticky piston, because otherwise this double piston extender wouldn't work. And if you just watch, look how fast this double piston extender acts. There's quite a bit going on. Now, another thing that I spent a lot of time on is making sure that we didn't have redstone dust on this level. I really like the idea of this not having to have anything above it. So that meant that I had to power this piston from this side, which threw up all sorts of different problems. But eventually, after many iterations of the design, I actually managed to get it to work. Now, this next piston door definitely pushes the boundaries of what you would consider simple. It's a 4x4 piston door, okay? There's a decent amount going on, but the reason I've called it simple is because it's pretty simple for a 4x4 piston door, and it's really, really compact. I've once again spent a lot of time working on the mechanics here, and there's some really interesting design choices within this redstone contraption. Prepare for more redstone geekery. So the thing that made this piston door a little bit challenging is the fact that it is actually double-sided. So there's no exposed slime blocks and honey blocks when the door is closed. And that makes it difficult to make a double piston extender, because if you look at this right here, with a conventional double piston extender, you kind of do something a little bit like this. You need to power that front piston, but there's blocks in the way on both sides, which makes it a little bit challenging. Now, the top section was decently easy, as I was able to power the double piston extender from above, but with the bottom section, I really wanted to conserve as much space as possible, which means that actually I started moving blocks around next to it. So a lot of the circuitry here is actually blocks being moved next to the double piston extender, and it all came together to work quite nicely. I don't know if you saw that there. If you want to play with this in a little bit more detail, then there is actually a world download down in the description, which, by the way, doesn't mean that you can use it for creating YouTube videos. You can't make a video of this world, alright? I like to call this one the zipper door, and it might just have one of the best animations of a piston door for something so incredibly simple. So this is a way to create an infinitely expandable upwards piston door. It's only 2 blocks wide. It can only be 2 blocks wide, but it can be as tall as you like it to be, and it will continue that animation all the way up to the build limit. And building wise, it's as simple as anything, really, to be honest with you. A little bit of redstone running in from your input. Obviously, your input can be absolutely anywhere. And then all we have is observers with redstone dots on them going all the way up like this, running into our sticky pistons. So when we update these bottom observers, that update chains its way up to the top and causes all of our pistons to extend and retract. Now, as I mentioned at the start, I suddenly have a soft spot for Etho doors, so I thought I'd do another one. This one sacrifices some of its speed for a little bit of extra fanciness. If we flick this lever down at the bottom here, you can see that this is a spiraling Etho door. It's an incredibly satisfying opening and closing sequence. For anyone who's been subscribed to my channel for a decent length of time, you all know that I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of spiraling doors. I don't know what it is about them. I could just watch them all day long. And in terms of the redstone for this thing, it actually sits within the same footprint as the previous Etho door. It just uses a little bit more in terms of redstone resources, because of course we've got observers, a lot more repeaters, and all that sort of thing. But I'd say it's worth the extra cost. Once again, definitely pushing the definition of simple here. There's no doubt about that. I must admit, this ended up being a tiny bit more complicated than I expected it to be, but also I feel like it's worth mentioning this isn't actually quite as complicated as it may look. So this is an expandable 3 blocks high piston door. So you can actually expand this as far as the eye can see, and it will continue to work. And if we hit this button, once again, super cool opening and closing sequence. That is very, very satisfying indeed. Now, how on earth does it work? Well, down at the bottom here, we have a lineup of double piston extenders. And once again, they are fairly similar to the ones that I used for the 4x4 piston door over there. So we've got moving observers and things like that, but they all run in a line. And then across the top, it is literally just pistons extending. So we just have a line of redstone essentially broken up by these repeaters, just so the top and the bottom match up. And that's it. So the bottom is just double piston extenders. The top is just regular pistons extending just in a nicely timed sequence. I really feel like the end result is incredibly cool. And for the final piston door of today's video, I actually hid this one behind a spoiler wall because I didn't want people to see it before we reach the end. Let's get that removed. Look, I partially put this in as a joke, but also I probably get as many requests on how to open 2 doors at once as I do for how to make a 2x2 piston door. You have to remember that a lot of the people that watch my videos, they're not out there making huge, ridiculous redstone contraptions, okay? They're interested in this stuff. These are the sorts of things that they're building. The tiny, small-scale redstone contraptions. I've just broken it. Thankfully, with tiny, small-scale redstone contraptions, they're pretty easy to fix. And this is definitely very tiny, very small, and very simple. But I have to say, I think it is probably one of the best designs for opening 2 doors at once. Look, we can stand on any pressure plate. Both of them will open in sync. We have plenty of time to actually get through the doors. It's a reversible design, so you can have pressure plates on both sides that will open up the doors at the same speed. I mean, you know, what more could you possibly want out of a double iron door? So there we have it, ladies and gents. Those are all of my simple, in inverted commas, piston doors and doors, I guess, considering the last one wasn't actually a piston door. I really do hope that you found this video useful. Obviously, if you want to play around with these designs, there is a world download down in the description. Dig around them, check out what the redstone is doing, rebuild them for yourselves. It's the best way to learn, just through experimenting and trying to recreate. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video. See ya. That was a lot of fun. I love piston doors. I can't deny it. There's something about building piston doors, isn't there? I could do it all day long. In fact, I think if I had it my way, every single video that I upload to my YouTube channel would be various different piston doors. They're just... I'm going to do it more often, I think.